to pursue.
Let me just say real quickly, even though I know that Ron King did a really long expose on that, and I'm certainly not here to like redo that, the one thing that I would say, to Byron's point of the connection between the two, is you might recall that Ron referred to simple church needing, much like in a kind of a mall, you need, like, you know, the main stores, like, you know, a Boscov's or Sears or something like that. They call those the anchor stores. In the same way, the simple church needs anchor churches, Burlington Naz being one of the simple church anchor churches. So there's always a recognition, as I said before about organisms, you know, there's always a recognition that you need lots of different interplay with a lot of different organizations, you know, kind of working together for the goal of not propping up the organization, but in this case, propping up God's kingdom, and recognizing that God's kingdom is much larger. The one that I'm kind of currently working with that is a representation of our church is a Panera church that I run. We do it every other Thursday that we've just now stopped for the holidays. Probably will begin again in January. You're always welcome. We meet at the Moorestown Panera Bread over there by the Circuit City, and you're always welcome to kind of show up. It's 7 o'clock on a Thursday, and it's like every other Thursday. And if you're really interested, I'm sure that Wes Allen can kind of put you in touch with me somehow so that you can get more information about that as to when we're going to do it.
So things on our radar. Those are the previous slide was things that we are doing. Some things that we are on our radar. Don't mean that particular radar specifically, but more in line with this. Discipleship evangelism, which is something that presumably you're all very familiar with, because it's a program that Wes developed, and I saw it and I loved it. And we're going to use it. And right now we're looking for the appropriate time to frame it in our disciple maturity map, which I would suspect would be sometime in 2008, but we haven't worked out that detail. But I think it's a great program. I go on cross pointings periodically just because I know that things are being updated from time to time, or that there are plans to update that, and I just want to make sure that we have the most recent version. We have no problem with borrowing other people's material. In fact, we have a saying that if you the definition of plagiarism is if you can't remember who wrote it, then it's not plagiarized.
Or Milton Berle, I steal from the best.
Right. Support groups. We're going to venture back into this particular area. We are in fact in the process of training 6 or 7 individuals. We have, in addition to our senior pastor Brian, who has a graduate degree in counseling, we also have someone from PBU's counseling program faculty who's working with us, and we're doing what effectively is some graduate level training, even though it's not an accredited program. But we're doing graduate level training to help people, these 6 or 7 people, learn how to support, lead support groups. And we're going to look at that very carefully because we don't want to venture into that in the same way that we did in the past, where it was just within like 3 months we had 4 support groups going, and it just became more than we could handle. And then finally, something that we call the ministry commons. We actually have merged with another church. We acquired another church that was really floundering in Mount Laurel, and we have access to their property. We opted not to close it. There's still a very small congregation of about 10 or 15 people that meet there every Sunday, but they have a beautiful facility. And so one of the concepts that Brian came up with was this idea of a ministry commons, a place, a location where different groups of Christians, communities of Christians, could gather for various reasons, particularly if they didn't have a place. It could be a church that's a new church plant that wants to move out of a home, but they're not ready to lease their own, or build their own building. We currently make that space available to two other churches. But it's a place where people can pursue creative ideas, and we will allow space for them to come and do that. Boy, this slide didn't come out too well, did it?
Especially the secure storage.
You know, actually, that might be, we're in a Baptist church, that might work out very, very well. But a sacred haven, if you, a place to come in and to have one-day retreats. It's a launch pad for new ministry ideas. If you want to just go there and just bring your laptop and just hang out for a while, or just have dialogue with some friends, and where can we go? We're actually, one of the things we're thinking about is creating a cafe there, not to compete with Panera, but it could be, it's a possibility. A spiritual wellness center where we can invite counselors in to have, Christian counselors can have offices. As well as what we call a house. Again, the whole idea of a place for churches that are beyond being house churches, but they want to have their own location. So that's an idea. The last few slides are really about how we're organized. And we have 4 teams: spiritual formation, worship and prayer, family life, and ministry resources. I'll run through these real quick. You know, they're all, you know, under the principal leadership is a senior pastor and board with a few staff members supporting. Spiritual life, spiritual formation, which is the team that I lead. Our key ministries are discipleship strategy, life groups, adult education, spiritual discipline emphasis, ministry to men. Not everything that we do, but certainly those are the areas of emphasis. Worship and prayer, worship service and planning, leadership, music ministries, and Cameo, which is a creative arts group, dancing, drama, etc. Weekly and monthly prayer venues, and then the seasons of prayer and fasting, which they oversee. And then this is a newly formed team called Family Life. We've moved some things over to them, but ministry to teens and children, teen outreach, and Christian parenting, which is the sacred parenting group, kind of falls under that particular venue. And then ministry resources, financial management, long-term planning, property management, the like. So that was the last slide, I believe. And I know it took more than the 20 to 25 minutes that the others took, but we felt it was important that for you to appreciate where we're at, you had to know where we came from. And so to the extent that we took a little bit more time than you might be used to, you know, we do apologize, but we wanted to give you a context for our experience.